Sausage.
Hello, and welcome to Attack the Backlog, the podcast where I, Marc, tries to make a dent in their backlog one game at a time. This episode is all about Disney Speedstorm, a free-to-play kart racer starring, surprise, surprise, Disney characters. This is a game I remember when it was originally announced thinking, wow, that looks really good. I'm surprised by how pretty this game looks. It also seems to play well. Why aren't more people excited about this? And then we all had the discovery that dampened any excitement. It's a free-to-play game. All right, that's why maybe people aren't as excited. Though I don't know what the kart racing community is like overall, but that pretty much took away the vast majority of my excitement. But the quality of the game, seemingly based off of that initial trailer, still had me excited. Fast forward however long later, and I forgot the game existed to a point, and definitely never even knew it came out and was already about to hit its 9th season. So when I decided to take a stab at returning to streaming and how I'm going to schedule all that out, instead of starting a game that was going to last a while on a Friday and then take the weekend off and return, I figured, why not finally try this game that I've been curious about for that return to streaming on a Friday? And that's where we're at. That's where we are. That's where everything is. I played Disney Speedstorm for 4 hours, and let's get to how I felt about it. I think Disney Speedstorm is a really good game. It plays well. It looks very, very good. I think more than anything, it's a looker, especially the tracks. Unsurprisingly, all the tracks are Disney themed and themed around different properties. So you'll have your Little Mermaid track, or your Beauty and the Beast track, your Hercules track, so on and so forth. And given that Disney has so many properties that take place in so many different settings, so many different time periods, there's a nice variety between all these tracks. You have a Pirates of the Caribbean track. So they all have their distinct look, and it makes it so that while you will be racing on the same tracks plenty of times, there are a lot of different styles going on, and they all look great. The characters overall look great, except for Jafar. There was something about Jafar that did not look right to me. Maybe it was his super skinny arms, but I think he had skinny arms in Aladdin. It's been a while since I've watched it. They just did not look right here. But the characters look great, and it plays very, very well. The racing feels tight. The drifting is easy. It's not as satisfying when you get a boost from drifting, but it feels easy to stay on course when drifting, which I appreciate. There are accessibility options too to make the driving more simplistic and to have it do a lot of the work, which I'm guessing is because there is a mobile version of Disney Speedstorm. And overall, I just had a really good time. There are plenty of courses and tournament things going on, though it's kind of hard to navigate, and that is where we'll get to the problem of this game. But I want to raise it a bit more before I let out the floodgates of what's wrong with it, which you'll be able to figure out, or you have already figured out what the problem with this game is, probably. But it's a really good game. It really is. I'm not joking. I'm serious, people. This is a good kart racer. This is one of the best kart races I've played in a while. Problem is, it's a free-to-play game, and my God, is it a free-to-play game. The UI is a mess. There are so many different currencies, so many different microtransactions. It's just a giant mess, a giant confusing mess. And I wish I could just buy the game like a normal game. Give me all the content, have it so that as I'm progressing through this campaign and that campaign, I can unlock new cosmetics for my characters. Give me that. That's what I want. It reminded me of Disney Affinity and how that game improved more and more with each iteration. And if that still existed and we just had this giant hub game for Disney properties and Disney genres, you could have your Disney Infinity base game, and then eventually down the road we get this Disney Speedstorm expansion for $30-$40 or something along those lines. Or just ignore that, put out Disney Speedstorm, and when you have new movies coming out and you create new content, have the Inside Out expansion. Nickel and dime us with expansions and new content, DLC. But this free-to-play model really dampens the mood because it's just a mess. And there's so many currencies where I got some currencies I didn't even know what to do with. I was looking through all the menus, trying to figure out how I use these. I think they were some kind of cosmetic-y sounding currency, and I didn't know where I could use it. There was nothing in the store I could buy with it. So what do I do with it? When there are that many currencies that you don't even know what you can do with any of them or some of them, you got a problem. So it just ruins the whole thing. And it's a game I am assuming is popular-ish to have gotten 9 seasons now. But at the same time, as I said at the top of the show, I didn't even know it came out. I don't remember this game being in the cultural zeitgeist for even a second. I don't remember anyone talking about it, any critics talking about it, review period, or any of that. But it had to have had that to some extent. So I don't know what the longevity of this game is, but I look at it and how well made it is if you ignore all the free-to-play stuff, ignore all that, and just look at the fundamental game itself. It's so good. It's so good and so well made. What happens when the game dies, the community is gone, and servers are closed? The game itself is just gone then. And I don't like that. If this can end with somehow the game being converted into a real game where you can just download it and get the content and they remove all that stuff, which I'm sure is no easy task. When you bake in free-to-play elements to this degree, you can't just flip a switch and say everything's good now. You've got a lot of work to do to make that happen. But I would love it if that did happen, and I feel that way about a lot of free-to-play games, like Apex Legends. You think to yourself, probably, what are you going to do with that? That's a very multiplayer-focused game. Just put bots in it. I like bots, okay? That's one of the things I've always loved about the Call of Duty series, is that they had bot play for the multiplayer. They didn't do that for Warzone, but with the traditional multiplayer, you can play against bots. Is it going to be as satisfying of an experience as playing against real humans who are more variable in what they do? No. But it's still something, and it allows you to play. It allows you to practice. It allows you to learn the maps, which is something I would have liked in Apex Legends, a way to play even with no bots, no other character. Just let me explore that map. But that wasn't a thing. And so I worry about Disney Speedstorm because I liked all of my 4 hours playing it. I did not have a bad second of it. I do think there are other elements of it being a free-to-play game that are weird, and it's related to it being something that I was never quite sure of what I was doing. It seems like in the storyish mode where I am partaking in these tournaments, these little cups, I guess, that I was playing against the computer, and that wasn't super challenging, in large part because there is an upgrade mechanic, which adds to the confusion. You can upgrade your cars, and then you can get crew, but only if you have crew that are related to certain properties, because you can't use an Inside Out 2 crewmate with any character. They have to be just from the Inside Out 2 line of racers. You can't use Inside Out 2 crew, for example, with Donald Duck, who I was using. And to unlock other characters, you're either going to have to spend a lot of money, or you can get these little things through boxes you open. And I think you get some free boxes every now and again, but it's so annoying. And there is online play against other people, but I never was quite sure how many people I was racing against were actual other people or AI. It never really checked out which was which is maybe a good thing that I didn't know, but also could be a bad thing because in my eyes, I was just always playing against AI. I never really felt like I was playing against humans, except when I started losing. The one mode I did enjoy was I forget what it's called. I think it was regulated multiplayer, where everyone is on the same level. There is no level to your racers or any of that stuff. Everyone is at the same level, and therefore it's a fair race. And I like doing that. That's where I had the most fun, the most challenge, because in a lot of the tournament stuff, the supposedly seemingly single player gameplay, if my level was high enough, I would just steamroll the competition, and there was no challenge. I would be so far ahead of all the other racers. There seemed to be some kind of rubber banding too, where it was kind of competitive for a while, but near the end I would run away with it. But in the regulated multiplayer, it was a competition, and I maybe won once. I don't think I ever won one. I think there were a few where I was in first place, and then at the last minute, always a fucking Mickey Mouse. Always a Mickey Mouse would come up from behind me and sneak their way to first place. But I like that because it was competitive. I don't mind coming in first place. I don't expect to come in first place, especially in a kart racer. I'm not a good kart racer player, but I enjoy them. And that gets to another thing that I think is weak. If I'm going to knock anything from the gameplay, from the game itself, ignoring all the free-to-play stuff, I don't think the power-ups are that good or interesting or unique. Your base power-ups are fine. I think they may differ slightly depending on what property the character is from, but you have something that gives you a little boost, something that increases your personal boost meter, a little bomb, some fire, flame stuff. I did like the flame power because it turns the game into kind of burnout where when you hit a car, you'll knock it out of the way and it slows down for you in a very burnout, you cause this car to crash takedown way, which definitely made all of those instances feel more like I'm playing against AI than the humans, or just humans, because you can't slow down their gameplay. So I did like that power up. And then the character unique power ups, none of them felt all that creative. Donald Duck got some kind of super bubble shield that protected him. Then all of the Inside Out characters, I think they create a little circle of emotion around them that affect them to some degree. I believe anger, if you got close to them, got a little boost. Then sadness was crying, so if you got close to them, you slowed down. I would like something a bit more creative than that. But that's Disney Speedstorm. It's a really, really good game. The racing itself, unlike, say, Lego 2K Drive, which I talked about recently, and it feels a little weird to play another game similar-ish to that so soon, but circumstances led me to this, realizing this game did come out and wanting to check it out, and then this streaming thing, everything just aligned. But unlike that game where I really felt super slow whenever I wasn't boosting, for the most part, I felt fine when not boosting in Disney Speedstorm. Not that boosting didn't make it feel better, but I didn't feel like I was moving at a snail's pace in the same way I felt in 2K Drive. There were a few times that happened, and I'm not sure if the fact that I leveled up Donald Duck as high as I could at the time, which was level 13, increases stats enough to make it so that even when I was just driving normally, it felt good. But either way, it felt good. So it bums me out that this game has microtransactions, free-to-play trappings up the wazoo. This feels like the dump for microtransactions when other free-to-play games die and have to throw away their microtransactions. They come to Disney Speedstorm to dump them all out. And so you have this cluttered mess of confusion and nonsense. And more than any other free-to-play game I've played, I can't think of a game that does this as much as Disney Speedstorm. It will pop up after every few races. Hey, you know, there's this thing you can buy in the store. You want to check it out? And every time I tell it, no, I do not. I do not want to buy your crap, all right? I want to play the game because it's a very good game. Let me play it. Leave me alone. Unless you allow me to just buy the game outright and then you never have another purchase, then I will do that. I will pay $70, $60 for your game. Let me do that because it's a good game. It's a really, really good kart racer. There have been a lot of kart racers over the years, from Nickelodeon, I keep saying DreamWorks, the Smurfs, so on and so forth. And now we have this Disney one that is so good, and I can't buy it. And I would love to see the behind the scenes and how much they make from this game, how much they made from it when all is said and done, and if it would have been a better outcome had they treated it like a regular premium game. But that is going to do it for this here episode of Attack the Backlog. Once again, I am Marc. Y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you enjoy this here show or any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can support me and my nonsense over at patreon.com/PXS. That is where you can get a monthly Q&A, some fancy Discord roles, a private Discord channel for the cool kids, as well as random drops and other goodies depending on your tier. Or you can just support me to support me if that is your fancy. That is, again, patreon.com/pxs. And as I mentioned a few times in this here episode, I have maybe returned to streaming, and that'll be happening weekdays from either 7 to 10 or 11 or 8 to 11. We'll see. 8's probably the more reasonable starting time so that I have a little bit of prep time in case. So we'll see how that all goes. Right? This episode had some meandering and whatnot, but here we are. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoyed this here episode, and I hope you have both a wonderful rest of your day. That's not how this goes, because this comes out on Sunday, and then you could just watch it whenever, because it's at the Backlog. So I just hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're listening to this. So you know the drill. You know what's coming next. But for now, adios. Arrivederci. Bye.
It's go time. Go daddy. It's go time. Go daddy.